I think this will probably be the last update to the eBay shed build out because there's really not a whole lot left to do. But I did want to show you the workbench that last night I was talking about building with these little brackets right here. I will say that they definitely made things easier. Just getting everything lined up properly. And even if you cut your wood a little bit crooked, you would still be able to get a fairly square workbench. I think they ended up being about $80, so they're pricey. They are not cheap. And then with the cost of the lumber, you're probably going to have, $150 or so into a workbench. It took me about an hour and a half to put it together. Now, when I went to Home Depot, this is a problem that I've noticed at both Home Depot and Lowe's. I wanted to buy a full sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, and they have the saw in the store where they can make cuts for you. Well, I know that at my local Home Depot and my local Lowe's, for at least 4 or 5 years, they always say the saw is broken. And I'm pretty sure they just don't want to cut any wood. And I also noticed at the Home Depot here today was that they sold a lot of 2x4s that were already cut to length. They had 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, and I think they had 6 foot cut to length. So I think they would much rather you buy the 2x4s already cut than for them to cut it. Over the years, I have had them make cuts and they didn't charge me anything. The problem is an 8 foot 2x4 was, I don't know, around $3. And a 4 foot 2x4 was almost the same price. So you're definitely paying more for convenience. But anyway, I wanted to buy a full sheet, have them split it so I could use half for the top and half for the bottom. And of course, when I went in this Home Depot here, there was a nice big out of order sign on the saw. So what I did just to make things easier was buy 2 4 foot by 2 foot pieces of 3/4 inch pine to use for the top. And I kind of cheaped out on the bottom. I just bought some OSB because it was like $5 per piece. And the plan for right now is to put boxes at the bottom, so it doesn't really have to look good. But I wanted a little bit nicer wood for the top surface. Oh, and what I'm going to do when I get done making this part of the video, I've got some 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to give it a light sanding just to kind of knock any rough edges down. And then I'm going to put some of this Watco Danish oil. I was originally going to get some tung oil, but I saw this and I was reading up on it, and apparently it contains tung oil and linseed oil. So I don't know how much difference it's going to make on color because it does show it's just a natural finish, but it will help protect it. And I don't think we're going to be spilling too much on it, but you never know because probably just about every video in here, I've got a drink with me. And that's my giant 100-ounce mug that I get filled up at Circle K for like 87 cents. The point is, I do want to kind of seal the top of it. I still think that the workbench is not quite square. And the whole reason that I bought these brackets was because I wanted it to be 100% square. But I think even with those, it's still a little bit off. And I also think, well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think these pieces that I bought were not cut exact. So I've got this little gap right here, which is really bothering me. But I don't have my skill saw here. All I have is a jigsaw, and I didn't want to be making jagged cuts, and I forgot to bring the skill saw. So that's why that's why I originally wanted them to cut it, but when their saw is, of course, broken, like usual, I just went ahead and bought the smaller pieces. Last night, I started moving some of our new inventory over here, but I stopped because, well, one, I was getting tired, but I'm going to redo these shelves. I think I'm wasting some space here, and one of the big things that we said from the beginning is we don't want any wasted space. Which, oh, before I forget, I will probably end up putting a shelf up here above this workbench because, you know, we really don't want to waste any space. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shelf, put it against the wall this way, and then I'm going to take these two shelves and turn them and put them back to back. And that way we can fit a third shelf in without this one really protruding in front of the window. So after I get the surface of this finished up, I'm gonna get that little bit of stuff. Well, not that stuff right there. It's pretty light. But this box here, I went to an estate sale last weekend and I bought 30 something cookbooks. Some of them are good. Some of them are just okay. Like this one, I've never even seen this one before. But they had a deal where you buy 5 cookbooks for $10. You buy 10 cookbooks for $15, or you buy 20 cookbooks for $20. And I didn't know if I'd be able to even find 20 that I wanted, but I ended up finding, I think, 32 of them. And every one after the initial 20 was only $1. So 32 cookbooks, $32. But that box is heavy, so I need to get it off of there, and I can probably leave this stuff up here, turn these shelves. Outside of that, hey buddy. Outside of that, I do still have to hang the TV. Well, I've got to get the TV mount, which I talked about last night. I haven't been home to get it, so I still got to get that. I did change the lock last night. And I think the only other thing that comes to mind is we need to get some either mini blinds or curtains for these windows. Just some kind of window treatments. But outside of that, I think as soon as that's done, which maybe by tomorrow afternoon, there's a bunch of estate sales tomorrow. I think there's around 7 estate sales. I think there's about 7 estate sales, so we're going to go to those. We're going to run by Walmart and get some blinds. I don't know, we might just buy a TV mount. I don't know, because I'd like to get the TV up. I'd like to go ahead and get it up and be done with it. And then Kim can start moving in. I think I said the last part of the video would probably be the final segment, but I did make a few more arrangements and I've got everything cleaned up to the point where we're ready to start moving inventory in, or at least Kim's inventory. So the biggest change that I made was I turned this workbench the opposite way. If you remember in the last video, it was up against this insulation, and Kim didn't like it that way because between the front of the workbench and here, which would be where you'd have to stand to work on this workbench, she thought it wasn't enough room. So I turned that workbench, and I've got these shelves configured a little bit differently now. And as you can see, we've got a lot of inventory that we've been bringing in, which I know I already had mentioned in at least 1 or maybe 2 parts of this video, but we even brought in more yesterday. So we've got a lot of new inventory here that we have to deal with. I got the floor vacuumed. I got this whole side of the shed cleaned up. I swept it. I vacuumed it. Got everything out except for this fan. Oh, and this little cart. I was using this cart to move inventory from down here to the working area of the shed. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this is the cart that I use whenever I go to the post office, and I have, usually if I have like 2 or more IKEA bags, which is not all that often, but occasionally I do have a lot of packages or bigger packages or heavier packages. The handle does fold down on this for when it's in the back of my truck, but I'll use this to bring my packages into the post office. I did get the TV mounted here, and it is covering up my miscut back there, because the miscut was right on the side of a stud or a double stud, so not too many people will ever see that. I cleaned the door off. There was a bunch of just smudges and stuff like that on the door. I hung curtains. And man, finding curtains to fit was really a lot more hassle than we thought it would be. So I got the curtains hung on both of these windows. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think Kim is supposed to start moving her stuff in this week. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to configure it yet, but we'll get it figured out. But yeah, this is the end of a very long project, but in the end, it's going to be worth it because it's going to make not only listing, but shipping so much easier for both of us because we won't be working in cramped areas like we've basically both been doing. We did have some different views on exactly how to set the shed up. I would have probably did no more than 25 or 30% of the shed as working space or working area, where we would do the listing and the packing and taking photos and all that. And I would have left the rest of it for inventory, so there would never be a question about whether we had enough space for inventory. But Kim wanted to have a working space where things were not cluttered. And I understand that because, like I said, both of our working areas are extremely cluttered. She wanted something where she wasn't going to be backing into stuff or running into stuff all the time, and just plain enough space to work in. So, you know, I didn't put up a fight or anything about that. It does mean that we do have less room for inventory, and that may be something in the future that we need to contend with. But I think as of right now, it's just not going to be an issue. So here's a little bit closer look at some of the items that I picked up over the last few weeks. This box of books, I found these at it was a garage sale where the people clear out storage units. And I saw the books here, and I saw they were like homeschool type books. And I asked her how much she wanted for them, and she said $5. So I'm like, well, I'll gamble $5 any day of the week. I didn't really look through them. I didn't comp them. I just bought them. Now, as it turns out, after looking at these, let's see, okay, this set here, these middle school math, grade 6, I have the entire set. And these are probably going to be worth $20 to $25 from what I can tell. The rest of the books, I don't think are very good. This middle school math, grade 7, I don't have, let's see, 4 through 6. I don't have that book. So I don't know if anybody's going to even want these. And there's a couple other books that I don't know if I looked at that one. I did look at all these. And all these books are going for like $4, $5, $6 free shipping from the cheap booksellers on eBay. There are a ton of these little pamphlets in here. And I did try to comp some of these. I didn't find anything though. And I think they're all different. Well, maybe not. No, see, there's some duplicates in here. So what I'll probably do is just take the pamphlets, take out any duplicates, and then sell them as a lot. We went to an estate sale a couple weeks ago, and they had $10 filler bags, so I grabbed these items. First, there was a Starbucks mug. This one looks like it goes for about $15. It is a 16-ounce. I don't know what year it is. But looking at the Starbucks mugs, it seems they're priced all over the place. There are some that look a lot like this one, but the edge here is kind of rolled, and they don't seem to do as good. But either way, I'm sure I'll get a few bucks for it, and I don't have much into it. I found this really cool trivet. It's a Natchitoches meat pie recipe, and it was probably never used. It is dirty though. It's like really dirty. But someone local will probably like to have something like this. It may not be that valuable, but again, it was only in the $10 filler bag. I found this Seagate 500 gig hard drive, and I only found one of these when I was searching comps that shipped from Canada for like $15. I know I saw the 1000 gig one. I don't remember how much it was selling for, but it's still new sealed in the pack. So somebody might want that. I grabbed this book, Aunt Sammy's Radio Recipes Revised. These sell for about $10. So if I can sell that, it'll pay for the entire bag. I found these Maxell mini DV 60-minute tapes. And these look like they sell for about 15 to 20. And finally, this Moen, what's a faucet? Is that a shower faucet? I was trying to see if it was just a faucet or if it was the entire thing. Tub and shower faucet. One setting shower head. Comps on this look to be around $30 or so. The box is not in great shape, but it is still sealed with the straps. At a garage sale I went to, I picked up these Weight Watchers items. The scale is still new in the box. I did open it to make sure that it was in there and new. The binder has, I don't know, lots and lots of books in it. Nothing has been written in except this book here. It's got, let's see, one page there. Thought I saw another one maybe. Yeah, there's that. And outside of that, that's the only pages that are written on. Now looking up comps on this, again, prices were all over the place. But I saw some of these that sold up to $50 pre-owned. And then on the scale, it looks like they go for 20 to 30, depending on whether it was free shipping or not. So I think what I'm probably going to do is just try to lot these together. Now these items came from, I guess it was more of an estate sale. It was weird because they had tables set up like a garage sale, but inside the house. So first is this Yoda cap, or Baby Yoda cap. It was half off that day, so I've only got $1 into it. Not sure it's ever even been worn. It does not have tags, but it is in excellent shape. And I saw two comps on this exact one for, one was for around 25 and one was for 30. Another thing I bought was just this thermal printer. She had it marked for $10, and since it was half off, I only paid $5. It even came with a roll of labels, which, although the first few labels here are not in great shape, that's more than pays for the $5, just this roll of labels. The printer is used. As a matter of fact, she said she had bought it from her friend, and she never elaborated why she bought it, if she was going to try to sell on eBay or anything. It's not Bluetooth, but neither is my Rollo printer, so I guess that's really not that big a deal. Although Kim's Jaden's thermal printer is Bluetooth and it's kind of nice, but I've just mainly bought this one to have a backup printer and to get the labels, because for $5 I couldn't say no. At another garage sale that I went to, I bought these items plus some more things that I don't have up here. Like at the estate sale where I bought the printer and the cap, I bought more stuff, but I just kind of randomly pulled some stuff off here to show you. But at this garage sale, the lady was actually an eBay seller who was getting out of the business. I didn't find anything spectacular there, but I did find some things. She had a few caps up here. That one's still, that's a game cap, still with the little piece of cardboard in it. A Callaway cap, still new with tags. And 3 of these Ford King of the Road caps. Well, let me show you this coin sorter first, and then I'll tell you about the caps. When I walked up, I asked her how much was some item that I was looking at, and she said everything is $1. I'm like, everything? She said yes. So I grabbed the coin sorter. I didn't even comp it. I looked it up earlier before this video, and it looks like they sell for about $30, and it is new in the package, even though the box is a little bit beat up. Now, I had a whole table full of stuff there, and the caps, there were, I think I had more caps than this, but she rang me up, and I don't remember how much the total was. Basically $1 for everything I had, except for the caps, because there was a box of something. As a matter of fact, I think it was this. Inflatable tentacles. I think that box was sitting between her and the caps. So when she moved the box, she saw the caps. She's like, oh, I forgot about the caps, but don't worry about it. Just take them. I'm like, no, I'll pay you for the caps. I mean, they're $1 a piece. She's like, don't worry about it. Just take them. So really, I don't have anything into these caps. I don't know. I mean, this is a nice cap, this one here. But I don't know how valuable they are because I didn't look those up before the video. At another garage sale we went to a few weeks ago, I found this. It's a TC, which is Thompson Center Pro Hunter breech plug wrench. Saw $3 on it, and I did comp this. And you can see when it was originally bought, it was only $17. So I scanned it, and I found one sold comp for $77. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound right. But that was the only comp. So I was like, well, for $3, I'll buy it. You know, I'm sure I can get $3 back out of it. Well, doing a little more research, I think I found why. And it's because these have been discontinued. So I went on the internet, looked around, and the only one I found was the one that had sold on eBay. So I'm not sure there's a whole lot of these floating around. I'll definitely take $77 for it, even if I don't get that much. You know, there'll probably still be a good bit of profit out there since this is discontinued. I found these Echo Gear in-wall power cable management kit pieces at an estate sale. I say pieces, I think the whole thing is here. I looked it up on eBay and Amazon, and it looks like, you know, it's never been installed or anything like that. The box has just been ripped open. So it is new open box, and comps look to be about $25 on that. I found a couple Raggedy Ann and Andes at a different estate sale. They were marked $5 a piece. It was half off. So I've only got $5 into the pair. These are not Knickerbocker, which, look, I've had Knickerbocker and I almost had to give those things away. I apparently didn't have the good Knickerbockers. But anyway, the tag on here says made by Margie Mers. So I looked up that name and found that she was someone who made Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, I don't know, a long time ago. So these are pretty old, and I ended up finding her obituary. I didn't find a lot about her in general. Like, I don't think her dolls are super valuable from what I can tell, but I found her obituary where it talked about she made these dolls and stuff, and I think she passed away in maybe 2017. So I don't really think these are necessarily super valuable, but I'll do a little more research and see if I can find anything on those. At another estate sale, this is the only thing I bought, were these two plates. And, I mean, they are beautiful plates. It's a big serving platter. What does it say? Dixie Edition Anniversary. It's got really nice crawfish and some peppers around the side. And these are from Paragon Casino Resort in Marksville. These probably won't be, or at least I wouldn't guess, these would necessarily be highly sought after, because probably not a lot of people even know that these exist. But, you know, Louisiana people really like stuff like this, and maybe other people too. These were originally marked $20. It was half off, so they would have been $10, and I offered her $8, and she accepted. So I don't have a whole lot of money in these. And again, I don't know how much demand these have. I didn't even comp these or anything because there may not have been any on eBay. I don't know. I'll still need to do a little more research and see, but I think for the right person, these might be pretty good. At a different estate sale we went to, this one is kind of like a off-site warehouse estate sale. I picked up a set of these graphing rubber stamps. Pricing was kind of hard to find on these because I found some individual ones. I didn't find any new in the package like this, but I think looking just on the internet, I can probably get about $20 for the set, maybe $15. But I only paid $1 because it was half off, and there are marked too. Now, the best find of that whole day was this boat. It is, okay, well, first it was marked 16, so I only ended up paying $8 for it. It is a Ranger boat model, I guess you'd call it. But it is so incredibly detailed. I mean, even like the hoses going from the motor to the back of the boat, just the detail is absolutely amazing. The boat comes off the trailer. I mean, look at this. I don't see any problems with it at all, except it even has the little straps to hold the boat to the trailer, and it's missing one of the straps, which probably will not be a big deal. But outside of that, I mean, it's in great shape. Trolling motor, everything is just so detailed. And it's a Ranger Boats Qualifier Steve Smith Limited Tournament Edition. I will say that the top of it, it has cracks in it. on both sides. I did find one comp on eBay that sold. I looked in the last 90 days and in product research. I found one comp that was listed for $299, and they took a best offer. So when I went to product research, I was able to find what they actually paid, and they paid $200 for it, or the buyer paid $200 for it. So if you ever search in the last 90 days on eBay and you see someone took a best offer and you don't know how much they paid, you can go onto product research and find the actual amount. I stopped at a garage sale. I didn't buy too much, just this women's Adidas, I don't know, gym bag or whatever it is. Oh, I did buy a couple egg rings for myself. They had some of these silicone egg rings for $1 each, so I picked those up. But the bag was only $1, and I didn't find this exact one. I found some really close to it, and even pre-owned, they were selling for about $20. So I picked that up. And last weekend, we stopped at a garage sale, and I found these items. First, there are a couple tech mats for the Remington 700. And if you're not familiar with these are just like a neoprene cushiony mat that you can work on your gun on. And they'll have an exploded view of the gun and all the parts. So if you take some spring out or something and you don't know where it goes, the mat will tell you where it goes. These are probably not the most popular ones, being that they're for a Remington 700. Although the Remington 700 is a very, very, very popular gun. I would just think probably like AR-15s and Glocks and stuff like that would be more popular. I think people who shoot Remington 700s probably, you know, don't shoot as much. You go out with AR-15, you shoot, you know, magazine after magazine of 30 rounds each, whereas with a Remington 700, it's a bolt action. So you sight it in and take it hunting, you know, so you don't get a whole lot of rounds through it. So probably most people who have them don't ever even take them apart. I asked her how much she wanted for those, and she said 10 each. I also asked her how much she wanted for these tailor-made tidy up kits, which I don't even really know what they are, but she said 10 each on those. And then I asked her how much she wanted on these Magpul stocks, and she said 10 each on these. So I offered her $30 for the 2 stocks, the 2 mats, and these 2 things. And she accepted. Well, she said, let me go sit this stuff over by my chair so no one else will buy it. So she grabbed these, she grabbed the stocks, she grabbed these, and then she was grabbing these. And I had not even comped these yet. I didn't know what they were. I mean, I know it's a fender cover, but I didn't, you know, comp it or decide whether I was going to want to get it or not. And she grabbed these and she said, did you want these too? And I was like, well, I said, how much are they? She's like, I tell you what, she said they were $10 a piece, but I'll give them both to you for 10. So 40 for everything. So I said, that's fine. I figured, you know, gambling $10 on these would probably, not that it would necessarily pay off, but I mean, it's not going to make me or break me. So looking at the comps on these are about $15 to $20 a piece. So maybe 40 there total. The fender things, I could probably get about $40 a piece for these. So that's 80. So it's about 120. The tech mats, probably about $15 a piece. So that's another 30. And then the stocks, these are going to be about $25 a piece. Probably 25 plus shipping, maybe 30 with free shipping. And I did see some solds on eBay of these stocks, because, you know, eBay restricts things on certain firearms, like, you know, modern sporting rifles like the AR-15. There's some things that they don't allow you to sell. However, because I saw some solds of this, I think they probably do allow these stocks to be sold, because these are fixed. A normal AR-15 in a free state, you know, outside of places like California and those type of states, you can adjust the stock. Most of them have like 6 positions where you can put the stock further back or forward to basically tailor the stock to you and your arm length and make it more comfortable and more accurate to shoot. But for some reason, the commie states think that you being able to shoot more accurately and more comfortably is a bad thing, so they don't let you have the adjustable stocks. So I think in states like California and whatever other states require certain features on AR-15s, they require you to have a fixed stock where you can't adjust it. I think that's why that you can sell these on eBay. I'll check to make sure. I'm certainly not going to try to get banned or something from selling a couple stocks, but I do think that I can sell those. I did want to get some of these items listed, but I've got to get home and get my orders packed from the weekend, which, you know, the whole thing of having inventory in 2 spots is already rearing its ugly head. But I had about 9 orders from the weekend, at least as of right now. So I need to get home and get those packed, and I'll show you what sold. I'm back in my cluttered eBay room to show you the orders that sold over the weekend. I said earlier there were 9 orders. And of course, I did not get any more orders between then and now, so I still got 9. The first thing going out is a Cricket Christmas Kitsch cartridge. It sold for $7.99 plus shipping, and I got this for $1 in a bundle deal from a garage sale. They had like 17 or 18 of these, and they wanted $1 a piece, so I bought them all. Not a ton of money in most of these Cricket cartridges, but they're really easy to list. They don't take up much room, so if I find more of these in the future, even though they're not a lot of money, I'm probably going to pick these up. I've got 2 Maxell C90 cassette tapes. These sold for $10.99 plus shipping. And really, technically, I don't have any money into these because these came in a cassette carrying case that I bought. Well, I don't know which one. I bought several cassette carrying cases, and usually they have tapes in them. And whether I get them at an estate sale or a garage sale, nobody wants the cassettes, not even me. But I do usually take them and go through and see if there's any that are worth listing. So $10.99 for these, don't really have any money into them. Next is a Paso Media Box storage system for CDs. This sold for $15.99 plus shipping, and that came from a huge estate sale we went to. And I bought all of those that they had. They had ones for cassette tapes and ones for CDs. All the ones for cassette tapes have been sold. And I think after this one, I've got 3 more of them for CDs. Now, they're not exactly fast movers. They didn't move as quick as I thought they would because they're all new old stock. And from judging from that estate sale, it looks like whoever lived there probably owned an electronics store at some point. But I offered to buy all of these that she had, I think for $2 a piece. So I'm well in the profit on these. I sold a 2-pack of child safety cabinet locks. I think it's 10 per card, and there's 2 cards in here. These sold for $6 plus shipping, and they came from the bin store for 50 cents per pack. And I've had them for over 3 years now. When I was going through some inventory, maybe early this year, I had those listed separately, so I went ahead and combined them. But it's just one of those things that have been hanging around. And I do have quite a few items that lately, I know I haven't been making videos, but they're selling for pretty low prices. So what I did was, early in the summer when sales dropped off so much, I lowered my prices on a lot of items. And it's the second time that I did that. I think I talked about it earlier this year. And what I found both times is that without the right buyer, price is definitely secondary. I do realize that some people buy solely on price, but it still takes the right buyer. So both times that I've lowered my prices significantly, I've moved a fair amount of inventory, but not near as much as I thought I would. I had a theory that continually lowering prices, at one point, I was reducing prices by $1 per day. Every day I went and I bulk edited almost every item in my store and reduced the price by $1. So it didn't take but like 5 days for something that was priced at $10 to be down to $5. And that was pretty much my limit for most items. There were a few things that I said, well, if these sell for anything, I would be happy. But I guess the point I'm making is that without the right buyer, even lower prices don't seem to sway a lot of people if it's not something that they really want. I sold a book, Psychology by Schachter. This sold for $6 plus shipping, and it came from the bin store for 50 cents. This is another item that I've had for at least 3 years. I think I got that one day when I went to the bin store, and there were like 8 bins full of books. I was in there for like 8.5 hours scanning books. So I pulled out the ones that were worth reselling, but apparently that one wasn't really worth it because it's been hanging around here for several years. It was one of those items that was priced higher, but at this point, I'm just trying to move inventory. I sold a set of vintage GE mist condition dry hair setter hot rollers. So I'll show you a little bit better picture of what they look like. I think you're supposed to put some water in the tray where the rollers sit for some reason. You know, I don't really know much about rollers because in 52 years I have never rolled my hair. But those sold for $39.99 plus shipping, and they came from an estate sale for, I think they were $2.50. I actually had those listed in my other store, which I've never mentioned my other store, but it's pretty much just a shell of what it once was. And I'll explain more in the next video about what happened there, but they weren't getting any views over there. So I moved them into my main store and they sold pretty quickly. I sold 2 of these DecoPack cake toppers football players. These sold for $5.40. Don't have much into these. These were some things I threw in a $5 filler bag at an estate sale. Next is a Chris Evert winning tennis training series on VHS. These sold for $6 plus shipping. And those also came in $5 filler bag from an estate sale. I think I had them listed around $20 or so. And like many of my other items, they weren't moving, so they got the price cut. And the last item going out is a crock pot slow cooker replacement insert. It's divided, which I know you can't see, but it's divided down the middle. That sold for $14.99 plus shipping. I don't have any money into it. My dad bought a new crock pot and it came with that, and he said he had no interest in ever using the divided insert, so he just gave it to me to sell. I did try to the best of my ability to show the dimensions of the insert because it's for a crock pot brand. But a lot of people use the term crock pot as just a generic term. So they may have a Betty Crocker or Hamilton Beach slow cooker and want that to fit. And while it may fit, it might just happen to fit, it's probably not going to fit perfectly. So I know there's a chance that whoever buys it might end up returning it just because they didn't read the description or really pay close enough attention to the dimensions. So I think that's going to do it for this video. It's after 2 p.m. and I've got to get these things packed up and to the post office. So as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.